Jeff Bezos sits in his office at Amazon headquarters in Seattle. He is watching his net worth disappear in real time. The dot-com bubble has burst. Technology stocks are crashing. Amazon's stock price has fallen from $113 per share to under $6. In a single year, Jeff has lost over $10 billion in paper wealth. Investors are panicking. Analysts are predicting Amazon will go bankrupt. The media is writing obituaries for the company. Employees are terrified, but Jeff Bezos is not panicking. He is calm, focused, still thinking long-term. While everyone around him is screaming about quarterly losses, Jeff is thinking about what Amazon will look like in 20 years. That psychological ability to ignore short-term noise and focus on long-term vision is what separates Jeff Bezos from almost every other CEO. It is why Amazon survived the crash and became one of the most valuable companies on earth. His psychology is not about being fearless. It is about having a different time horizon than everyone else. Jeff Bezos was born in 1964 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His biological father left when he was a toddler. His mother remarried a man named Miguel Bezos, a Cuban immigrant who adopted Jeff and gave him his last name. Miguel worked as an engineer at Exxon. Jeff grew up middle class, curious, and obsessed with how things worked. As a kid, he took apart his crib with a screwdriver because he wanted to sleep in a real bed. That curiosity never left him. He was fascinated by space, science fiction, and technology. In high school, he was valedictorian. He went to Princeton to study physics and computer science. After graduating, he worked on Wall Street at a hedge fund called D.E. Shaw. He was good at it. He made a lot of money. By his late 20s, he was on track to become a successful finance executive. But something was bothering him. In 1994, Jeff read a statistic that changed his life. Internet usage was growing at 2,300% per year. He realized the internet was going to explode, and he wanted to be part of it. He started thinking about what kind of business would work online. He made a list of 20 possible products: books, music, software, office supplies. Books seemed like the best choice. There were millions of titles, too many for any physical store to carry, but perfect for an online catalog. Jeff decided to start an online bookstore. But there was a problem. He had a great job, a great salary, and a clear path to wealth on Wall Street. Starting a company meant giving all of that up. Most people in his position would not take the risk. Jeff used a mental model he calls the regret minimization framework. He imagined himself at age 80 looking back on his life. He asked, "Will I regret leaving Wall Street to start a company, even if it fails?" The answer was no. Then he asked, "Will I regret not trying and spending the rest of my life wondering what could have been?" The answer was yes. That framework made the decision easy. He quit his job and moved to Seattle to start Amazon. Jeff started Amazon in 1994 in his garage. He and his wife packed books and drove them to the post office. In the first month, Amazon sold books to customers in all 50 states and 45 countries. Growth was explosive. Within 2 years, Amazon went public. Jeff became a multimillionaire. But he did not celebrate. He kept his head down and kept building. He was not optimizing for short-term profits. He was optimizing for long-term dominance. That distinction is critical. Most companies try to make as much money as possible as quickly as possible. Jeff took the opposite approach. He reinvested every dollar back into the company. He built warehouses. He expanded product categories. He kept prices low to attract more customers. Wall Street hated this. Analysts kept asking, "When will Amazon be profitable?" Jeff kept saying, "We are not focused on short-term profits. We are focused on long-term customer satisfaction and market share." That answer frustrated investors, but Jeff did not care. He was playing a different game. Then came the dot-com crash. Between 1999 and 2001, hundreds of internet companies went bankrupt. Pets.com, Webvan, eToys, all gone. Amazon's stock price collapsed. Jeff's net worth dropped from over $10 billion to under $2 billion. The media declared Amazon the next to fail. Analysts said the company was burning too much cash. Employees were scared. Some left. But Jeff did not panic. Here's the psychology. Most CEOs operate on a short-term time horizon. They think in quarters. They care about the next earnings report. If the stock drops, they panic and cut costs, fire people, and try to show short-term profit to calm investors. Jeff Bezos operates on a long-term time horizon. He thinks in decades. When the stock crashed, he did not ask, "How do I make investors happy this quarter?" He asked, "What do customers need, and how do we build that over the next 10 years?" That shift in time horizon changes everything. If you are thinking short-term, a stock crash is a catastrophe. If you are thinking long-term, a stock crash is noise. Jeff kept building. He expanded into electronics, toys, and eventually everything. He launched Amazon Prime in 2005, a subscription service that seemed insane at the time. Pay $79 a year for free 2-day shipping. Analysts said it would bankrupt the company. Jeff saw it differently. He knew that if customers got free shipping, they would buy more. They would become loyal. They would stop shopping anywhere else. It was a long-term bet, and it worked. Prime became one of the most successful subscription services in history. Today, over 200 million people are Prime members. That decision was only possible because Jeff was willing to lose money in the short term to win in the long term. Most CEOs cannot do that. Their boards and shareholders will not let them. But Jeff controlled enough of Amazon to make long-term bets without being forced to optimize for quarterly results. There is another psychological trait at work here. Jeff's tolerance for being misunderstood. Most people need to be understood. They need approval. They need people to agree with them. Jeff is comfortable being misunderstood for long periods of time. He says, if you cannot accept being misunderstood, do not do anything new or innovative. When Amazon started selling more than books, people said, that is not what Amazon is. When Amazon launched AWS, cloud computing services, people said, why? Is a bookstore running data centers? Jeff did not care. He knew that in 10 years people would understand, and they did. AWS is now one of the most profitable parts of Amazon, generating tens of billions in revenue. But in the early days, it looked like a distraction. Jeff was willing to look foolish in the short term, because he knew he was right in the long term. That psychological comfort with being misunderstood is rare. Jeff also has a unique relationship with failure. Most people avoid failure because it feels bad. It damages the ego. It creates shame. Jeff treats failure as a necessary part of innovation. He says, failure and invention are inseparable twins. Amazon has had massive failures. The Fire Phone, Amazon auctions, Endless.com. Each failure cost millions of dollars. But Jeff does not see those as proof that Amazon is failing. He sees them as experiments. If you are not failing, you are not trying hard enough. That mindset allows Amazon to take big swings. Most companies are afraid to launch products that might fail because failure is seen as career-ending. At Amazon, failure is expected. As long as you learn from it and adjust, failure is valuable. That creates a culture where people are willing to take risks, and that culture drives innovation. Let's go back to the year 2000. Amazon stock has crashed. Jeff has lost $10 billion. Employees are leaving. The media is writing Amazon's obituary. What does Jeff do? He writes a letter to shareholders. In that letter, he does not panic. He does not promise short-term profits. Instead, he reaffirms Amazon's long-term strategy. He says, we will continue to make investment decisions in light of long-term market leadership considerations rather than short-term profitability considerations. That letter is a psychological masterclass. He is telling investors, I know you are scared. I know the stock is down, but I am not changing course. We are still thinking long-term. Most CEOs would have caved to pressure. Jeff doubled down. And he was right. Within a few years, Amazon's stock recovered. Then it soared. Today, Amazon is worth over $1.5 trillion. Jeff Bezos is worth over $200 billion. None of that would have happened if he had panicked in 2000. There is one more layer to Jeff's psychology, his obsession with customer experience. Most companies optimize for profit. Jeff optimizes for customer satisfaction. He believes that if you make customers happy, profit will follow. That belief allows him to make decisions that seem irrational in the short term, but pay off long term. For example, Amazon's customer service is famous for being generous. If a package is late, they refund you. If a product is defective, they replace it immediately, no questions asked. That costs money, but it builds trust, and trust creates loyalty. Loyal customers spend more over their lifetime. So, by losing money on individual transactions, Amazon makes more money overall. That is long-term thinking. Most companies would not do that because it hurts short-term margins. Jeff does it because he is optimizing for lifetime customer value, not quarterly profit. So what can an ordinary person learn from Jeff Bezos' psychology? First, adopt the regret minimization framework. When you face a big decision, imagine yourself at 80 years old. Will you regret taking the risk or not taking it? That question clarifies what really matters. Second, extend your time horizon. Stop thinking in weeks or months. Start thinking in years or decades. If you are building a skill, a business, or a career, ask yourself, where will this be in 10 years? That perspective makes short-term setbacks feel less catastrophic. Third, be willing to be misunderstood. If you are doing something new, people will not get it at first. That is okay. You do not need everyone to understand. You need to be right in the long run. Fourth, treat failure as data, not identity. When something does not work, do not collapse into "I am a failure." Instead, ask, "What did I learn?" Then adjust and try again. Finally, optimize for long-term value, not short-term approval. Whether it is relationships, career, or finances, playing the long game almost always wins. Jeff Bezos did not panic when he lost $10 billion because his psychology is wired for long-term thinking. While everyone else was reacting to short-term noise, he was building for decades. That is not luck. That is not intelligence. That is mindset. And mindset is something anyone can develop. You do not need to be a billionaire to think like one. You just need to shift your time horizon, embrace misunderstanding, and focus on what matters in the long run. Jeff built the Everything Store, not by being the smartest person in the room, but by being the most patient. And patience over decades compounds just like money.